Well, it's a great pleasure to be with you today, Paul Feig, Mr. Paul Feig at Goldcrest Studios in the heart of Soho, London, where he's very kindly have taken your lunch break to talk to us, to talk to Mr. Feelgood, whilst mixing the sound on your latest movie, The School of Good and Evil. Mm-hmm. For me, I mean, Paul you are a man of a multitude of talents, which include actor, writer, producer, director, stand-up comic, bon vivant.
Oh my God.
You're an extraordinary cocktail maker, and you really are quite possibly the most immaculately dressed man I've ever met.
Thank you.
Both sides of the pond.
Well, wow, I'll take it.
You really are. You're also the creator of a dry gin that was named after your mum, which is called Arctic Storm.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
So you've really done it all, Paul. What we'd love to do today is we designed 20 questions that get to the heart of who we are. Mm-hmm. Mr. Feelgood is a sort of a platform to exchange views and support people and inspire people, and whatever business you're in. Mm-hmm. I like to think of it as a sort of, we're all sat around a campfire in Monument Valley, being in awe of the stars, and it doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, what your background is, we all sort of share the same kind of principles and values and wants and etc. in life. And
Nice.
For me, you really epitomize what it is to be a Mr. Feelgood. Every time I've met you previously, you just buzz with positivity.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate what you guys are doing with this is great too, because we need that positivity in the world. There's far too much negativity right now. I know I'm stating the obvious, but so I appreciate this venture you're on, and I appreciate you letting me be a part of it.
Right, well, we're going to jump in. We've got 20 questions, as I said, and the first one is, who are you?
I am Paul Feig, a guy who grew up in Michigan, right outside of Detroit. And always wanted to be in showbiz, and always wanted to be in comedy. And 5 years old, I was in front of an audience, my first thing ever, and I got tons of laughs. They were laughing at me because I wore a ridiculous costume as an elf. But to me, it was I thought the world wanted me to make them laugh, and so it's been my life's goal ever since.
Amazing. And how are you feeling right now?
I feel great. We have a test screening coming up for my new movie, which is always nerve-wracking because you want the audience to love it, and you want to get a good score because we do get scores for these things. Mm-hmm. And but I'm very happy with the movie. We've been working on this movie for all in about 2.5 years now. So it's longer than I think I've been on any other movie, but it's just that big. So I feel great, filled with both angst, but happy angst.
Right on. And this you shot in Belfast in the last year?
Yeah, shot in Belfast, and then we did some additional photography in both Los Angeles and Budapest, and in London. So this is it's a quad location movie.
Brilliant. Can't wait to see it. And we've just touched on this, but where did you grow up and what was it like?
I grew up in Mount Clemens, Michigan, which is 20 minutes outside of Detroit. Mm-hmm. Very blue-collar, auto industry-driven area. I really enjoyed growing up there. Good Midwestern values, and it also formed my comedy quite a bit. Both my mom and dad loved comedy, but my dad loved very wordy jokes, mm-hmm. And my mom liked really silly physical comedy. So between the two of them, I sort of learned the high and the low of comedy. But my dad was the most amazing raconteur. He could just tell a joke, one of those long stories, and keep you held. Versus, isn't there anything worse than like somebody who thinks they're a raconteur and they start, and you're just like, oh my God, when is it going to end? No, he could just draw you in.
That is such a rare talent to have, isn't it?
It really is.
It really is. To really keep an audience sort of. Well, that must have informed all your comedy with Bridesmaids, with everything that you've done so far. Yeah,
well, he collected jokes. He used to love to go to nightclubs, and he would write down jokes. He had this big catalog of all these jokes, nightclub jokes he'd heard. And when in 9th grade, I was in the school talent show as a magician, mm-hmm. So I showed him my act, and he's like, you need some jokes. So he gave me all these old nightclub jokes that I did, and I ended up winning the talent show. The jokes were kind of off color, but with all the teachers, I remember that my first joke, there was absolute silence for like 2 seconds, and then the place went crazy because they didn't expect that it was going to be that off color.
So I love that you had a writing person behind you.
Yes.
What did you say? What year was that? How old were you then?
I was 13 or 14, I think.
Right,
14, yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, this was in the mid-70s.
Wow. Okay, well, what excites you?
Gosh, anything great. And that sounds weird, but like anybody with great style or a great place that has great food or a place that cares about like cocktails or it just cares about adult grown-up life, that makes me happy. Or going to Savile Row and seeing great clothes, or just going in anywhere and seeing people who are dressed up in care. And when I say dressed up, it sounds kind of highfalutin. I don't mean like in tuxedos. I just mean places where people have a style, and sometimes a style can be, wearing something that costs nothing, but it just bringing that to the world. That makes me happy because, the world can either look great or it can look terrible, and the people in it it's what I call, when I go on vacation, responsible tourism, which is, we're all in each other's movie when we go on vacation. We go to Capri. It's so beautiful. So I'll bring like a nice summer suit and all this and dress nicely. But then so I'm getting my picture taken, and then there's people dressed in shorts and t-shirts and and looking terrible. And it's like, well, now you're a bad extra in my movie, but I'm a good extra in your movie. So just. Not that you have to dress up on vacation, but just, it's not an excuse to just walk around. I'd say don't just dress so that you don't get arrested. That's my only thing.
Right, okay. But where did this come from? Because you genuinely, whenever I've met you before, seen you before, you've always looked so elegant. Where did that come from? Was it your father? Was it movies? Was it?
It was a little bit everything. It was, my dad always wore a suit and tie to work, and he owned an army surplus store, so he was in the warehouse moving boxes around. But it was always like a sports jacket and tie and slacks. But I was like, oh, okay, that's how you dress when you go to work, no matter what you're doing, if you're in charge, especially. But then I was a big Groucho Marx fanatic, and I read a biography of his. Yeah, and he had this quote. He said, "I never trusted a man who didn't dress well." And so, of course, when your hero says that when you're young, that goes in your head. Then I was a Steve Martin fan who always wore the white suit, three-piece suit when he performed. And then my mom loved old movies from the 30s and 40s with Cary Grant. And, so I just picked up on it. And always just went, I just want to look like that. That's what I want to present to the world.
It was funny. I was walking through Hyde Park the other day, and I was thinking about you, and I was thinking about this having a conversation, and thinking about how elegant you are. And I really thought it's a nice way to go through life as well, isn't it? And you don't need Savile Row. You could have High Street, but it's the way you carry it, and it's the attention to detail. Oh, totally. But it's a nice way to sort of be present in life, to dress and say, right, this is a new day. I'm going to dress up. It's like putting on, I suppose, if you're in the service as an admiral or a sailor or anything, it sort of puts you in it's being an actor, isn't it? It's dressing up to face the world and giving it my best foot forward.
Yeah, well, if I walk out of the house just, unless I'm working out, I go out in like my, workout suit or whatever, outfit. But, if I just walk out sort of like I feel like I rolled out of bed, I can't focus on anything, and it also just feels bad. Like during the pandemic, my rule is to get up and get dressed. Like, don't spend the day in something you slept in.
Right.
Because it keeps you unfocused. But my thing is, you get one chance to make an impression on the world, and I think it's unfair, personally, a lot of older guys do this, of like, I don't care what people, think, they got to get to know me. So it's like, yeah, I know, but don't, like, stack the deck against yourself. Like, if you're dressed, like, terrible, like, I'm going to assume, like, what's up with this guy versus if he's put together. And look, I can meet a serial killer and he's in a nice suit. It's not a mark of who you are, but at least it says, like, this is who I want you to know who I am, and now you'll get to know me, and I'm not, like, somebody you're like, who is this person?
Right. Interesting. What scares you?
Not being able to work anymore. Right. Yeah, I mean, that's honestly when these test screenings come up in my business. You hope they go well, but look, I've been in this business long enough to have ups and downs and go, when you hit the point when you stop making people money or you start losing people money, then, they roll up the carpet and put the job away. So, yeah, I think I'm just constantly driven by, please don't let me get drummed out of the business.
Right. Well, it's funny, I was looking at your movies list last night, the touch wood. They're doing great. They're all doing great.
So far, yeah.
So, well, long may it continue. Make people feel good. You really do. You really do.
That's my goal.
And you do. You just do. So that is a gift, and that's something that we can't live without. What is your proudest achievement?
I think just making it in this business. I mean, not making it sound,
surviving.
Yeah, exactly.
Surviving with a flourish.
Yes, getting to do what I love, and again, it could all end tomorrow. But the fact that I like, again, I want, like we all have in this business, in any business we're in, you go through hard times, and it's like if you persevere and get through it. I had times when it seemed like it was over, and just kind of just had the ambition and the just sheer will to make it happen because I didn't want to do anything else. And so I'm really just proud of the fact that I get to do this at the level that I get to do it, and I never take it for granted, not for 1 second.
And you're relentless in your pursuit of it, which is really, that's a brave and admirable quality, because you just have to go, and you don't know when it's going to happen or if it's going to happen,
exactly
but you've just got to keep going, moving forward.
You can't half-ass it.
You can't half-ass it. What's the hardest thing that you've ever done?
Oh gosh, it's funny. The hardest thing, honestly, the hardest thing I've ever done is usually the next thing I've done, because I try not to repeat myself as much as I can. And so I'm always looking for a challenge, and I like to take on things that scare me. Like, I like to go like, I don't know if I can do that, and go, no, you can, because, you can figure this out, and then you'll bring your,
signature.
Yeah, signature, your perspective on it. That's why I like going into genres in my movies, like genres that I have never done, like a cop movie, and, a buddy cop thing, and a spy movie, and a supernatural thing, just because I've seen those movies, and I like them, but there's parts I go like, oh, I wish it did this, so you go, oh, I'm going to bring this to it. So I like to scare myself in that way, but it makes everything challenging, but without a challenge, what fun is that? I don't want to do the same thing over and over again. That's boring.
That's amazing. It's really refreshing to hear as well, because it could be easy. Not easy, but it could be easy way out to just sit on your laurels and enjoy what you've done before. But to keep creating and keep pushing yourself. That's what I'm doing with this. Really, it's just get out there, do it, and see what happens. Just do it with a good heart and do it with your a proper intention, and then see what happens.
The path of least resistance is not the most interesting path.
It's dull as dishwater. Who was your greatest mentor, and what did they teach you?
Oh golly, I've had a few mentors, honestly. It sounds trite, but both my parents in a way, because my dad really taught me the value of working hard, but also about comedy, weirdly. But then I got the same thing from my mom, so I became this amalgamation of their two senses of humor, which I think if you look at my work, you see, I always kind of say what I do is like high and low. Like, I can have something that sounds very, smart and all that, but then I'll throw in a fart joke or something, because to me, it's just life. Life is high and low, And then, honestly, it's another reason why I like dressing in suits and ties. To me, there's nothing... Comedy's funnier out of people who are dressed well, I think, than some,
Absolutely.
John Cleese doing the silly walks. That would not be funny if he was in sweatpants.
Exactly.
So that, and then, Judd Apatow, who was an old friend. We were stand-ups together. He taught me a lot about the business. Then Greg Daniels, who did The American Office, taught me so much about how to just get opinions of everybody. Like, we would, do an episode of The Office, and he'd be like, run out and get like the parking lot attendant. Hey, come in. What do you think of this joke? And he just was completely democratic that way. Whereas sometimes you can get really, I don't care what that person's like. No, those are the people. We're trying to entertain everybody in the world. So let's get everybody's opinion.
That's so good. Okay, who are your fictional and real life heroes?
Golly.
High, low, you can be...
I know, exactly. Yeah. It's so hard to say. I've got a lot of heroes, I have to say. It's almost hard to nail them down. The ones that pop into my brain, like current, more recent ones, Tom Ford is a big hero of mine, just because I love the way that he faces the world. And, when he did that first movie, A Single Man, I was like, okay, Tom, okay, you're a director, sure. And then I'd see it and go like, okay, it's brilliant. So you can do anything. But I just like the way he kind of presents to the world. I'm a big fan of other directors from the past. Blake Edwards is a big hero of mine. Howard Hawks is a huge hero of mine, because another guy who just did all the genres, and did each one of them amazingly well. And then, God, so, I think I've said more times in my life, oh, so-and-so is my hero, and I realize I've got a lot of heroes because I just admire what so many people do, Elvis Costello's another hero, so it's it's whoever does great stuff is my hero.
Who do great stuff, and they inspire you and they keep you on your toes, right?
Totally.
Okay. What is your favorite item of clothing in your wardrobe? My goodness.
Oh, I know that's a tough one.
It's a tough one, especially
changes.
after you just mentioned Tom Ford as well. But go on.
Yeah, no, it changes constantly. Like, my new favorite thing is I was in Austin, Texas for South by Southwest, where we had one of our shows premiering. and I went to Allen's Boots and got my first pair of Lucchese cowboy boots, which are, they're kind of the most famous ones. And I broke them in, and they're just now. I love wearing. I'm not wearing them today, but I usually started wearing them with suits. Because I was kind of like, can you wear cowboy boots with suits? And I was like, I think of it as long as I don't look like I'm pretending I'm a sheriff or something. So I love that, but I love all my bespoke suits. All my Anderson and Shepherd suits are sort of my babies, and I wear them to death.
What music did you love age 13, and do you still love it now?
I'm a big rock and roll guy. I'm from Detroit, so so I liked really hardcore rock, I mean, all the Led Zeppelins of the world, and Ted Nugent, and and Jay Giles, and Rush, and Rush to a lesser extent. That was a little more prog rock than I cared for. But yeah, I just liked anything really hard, big guitars and all that. Ramones was huge. Oh my God, I went crazy. I think I discovered the Ramones at 13 years old when they'd first come here, because my cousin had a French foreign exchange student who was into punk rock, and he turned me onto it, and that just changed my life. The Sex Pistols, all that stuff. Yeah, I love big guitars.
And do you still listen to it now? Do you, if you have time, if you're working out, or if you need time just to escape, do you sort of listen to that?
I don't
stuff?
think to listen to it, and then I put it on. It's funny, like this is a little later than that, but like the other day I was walking, and suddenly I was like, I haven't heard ZZ Top's Sharp Dressed Man in a while. And put it on, I was so happy. Like, you connect with those songs from the past. Or Bob Seger was big in Detroit and all that. So,
amazing.
Big guitars.
What is the most inspiring book you've ever read?
Wow. I mean, my favorite book of all time is Catcher in the Rye, which sounds really teenage and trite, but that book is almost like religion to me. It just kind of, the prose, everything in it, just, any sensitive guy who, kind of was trying to not get killed in the world really relates to that book, some in a bad way, but mostly, it just means something to you. So I do love that book. The book called The Selfish Gene by Richard Dawkins changed my life, because it changed how I was able to look at how the world works, because it's the most common sense explanation of evolution that makes you go, oh, I see exactly how everything, now I can think about anything that exists in a living thing and go, oh, I see how that came to be because of the process of elimination of that. Right. So I find that I feel like I'm kind of, my brain is sometimes like a brick wall, like ideas kind of hit it and you don't quite get through. So whenever like heavy science ideas can get through to me, I go like, that author is so smart because they figured out a way to make dummy me understand it.
He's amazing. He really is amazing. I have to read that one.
Oh, it's great.
I will. What is a movie that left a lasting impression on you?
Wow, I know, another hard one. No, I mean, I'll work my way down from sort of the ones that the one that I always say is my favorite movie of all time, which is It's a Wonderful Life, which, is very corny, but I love it. To me, it checks every single box that a movie should do. And I didn't even see it until I was in film school, when I was in my early 20s. Because it makes you laugh, makes you cry, it's so emotional, but it's so uplifting, and you just walk out feeling great at the end of the day. That to me, that's why I want every movie I do, no matter what the genre is, no matter how dark it can get at certain points, I want it always to say, I always want my movies to be good-natured. That's the mantra in the company. But also to be like, you can win, I don't want to do these dark movies where and the world is terrible and people are terrible. I don't want that message to be out there. We all know that exists, so why not inspire people and entertain? I mean, that's my number one goal in my career, is to entertain people. So, Wonderful Life is right at the top of the list.
Okay, well, we'll leave it with that one. What is your favorite word or saying? Clean or dirty, doesn't matter.
It's a good one. I don't know if it's my favorite, but it's something I say all the time. And I had a cousin who used to call me on it because I said it all the time. And it's like, we'll see. I just go, oh yeah, we'll see. Because it's my way to put off some decision and not to hurt somebody's feelings. Right, so we'll see. So I think I don't like that I say it all the time, but probably if you tallied up everything I say, that is probably like twice what I say of anything else in the world.
Okay, perfect. This is heavy. What do you want people to say about you at your funeral?
That he made people feel good. Right. That he cared about entertaining people. He cared about letting people have fun. You know, I don't say not in a frivolous way, because I like doing really frivolous stuff too, but, you know, in a way that kind of addresses the human condition and makes you feel okay about who you are and where you are in the world and what stage you're at. You know, I try not to be judgmental. That's one thing my father had, was he was very judgmental. You know, he's like, why? I hate the word why. That's one of the things I try to purge out of my vocabulary and people that I hang out with, which is why, in the sense of like, well, why do they want to do that? Why does he want to be, you know,
gotcha.
On the stage? Why does he? Because he wants to. They want to.
Right on.
I don't want to judge that, you know, like, because somebody's goal is to, you know, to work in a store, you know, in a way that maybe you should be more ambitious than that. Like, if they're happy and they want to do that, I'm so happy for them if they're doing it.
Beautiful. That's great. Finally, 5 questions. Favorite car?
I'm not a big car guy, but I used to. Rolls-Royce used to let me borrow cars on the weekend, because when I put a Rolls-Royce in Spy.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean,
that's pretty nice.
I would never own one, but it was my favorite car to drive. I'll tell you that much.
Sports team?
Oh God, I'm a nerd, man. I'm for Detroit. I always loved the Detroit Tigers baseball team, but I'm not a big sports guy.
Favorite meal?
Oh man, every meal I've just had. I love a big Italian meal. I just think Italian cooking is the greatest, because it puts so much great onus on the ingredients and how you present them. So that, but also like a tasting menu at, like, you know, Le Bernardin or something, or you know, my 2 favorite restaurants in the world are in the U.S. are the Polo Bar in New York, and then an Italian restaurant called Il Tonello, which is like 56th and 5th.
Okay.
A little old Italian place, but they make everything tableside, and they're just so nice there. So I love that.
It's like being at home.
Exactly.
But with really great food.
Exactly.
Not that I'm saying
That's right. No,
but we won't go. Grooming products.
Kiehl's. I'm just a big Kiehl's guy. Everything I use. Everything, yeah. They've got this like oil-free face cleanser that I use every day that does I've got really weird skin, and so anything else leaves like a film. This just like comes right off, and it's great. And then I love their shampoo. I love their shaving cream. So yeah, I'm a Kiehl's guy.
And finally, again, it's almost like I've repeated this, but it isn't. It's a clothing label. Favorite clothing label, if you have to choose one.
I mean, I won't do bespoke, since that's kind of technically not a label. But I guess off the rack, it'd be Ralph Lauren. Yeah, I'm big. I love traditional old American style, and I love old British style. I like old style. For some reason.
I was the Ralph Lauren man for about 6 years.
I know that, exactly. So...
Mr. Feig,
you, sir.
Mr. Feig, that's it. We're done. It was a pleasure talking to you. Thank you for taking time out of your day to talk with and share your wisdom and your humor and your just enigmatic personality and charisma. And I mean that sincerely. We're really proud to have you here. So thank you.
Thank you.
Lovely,
I really appreciate it. Congratulations on everything.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for letting me do it.